All right, Jacked Experience, take 3 now. Let's get this shit on the road.
Third time's the charm. All right.
Hold on. All right.
Ready?
Bang, bang.
Hey, Jackers. Our guest has one of the most interesting personal stories I've ever heard. His story for survival in one of the cruelest environments imaginable is so interesting and surprisingly funny. Please welcome carpenter, writer, and stand-up comedian Jared Klickstein.
Hey guys.
How are you?
Good evening.
How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good.
Thanks for coming in this evening.
No problem.
So, you grew up in Boston, right?
Yeah, I was born in Boston.
When did you move out here?
Well, when I was 12 years old, I was taken away from my parents, and I moved to Oakland, California.
Why is that?
My parents were, well, they were drug addicts.
Okay.
My dad, let's see, he started doing heroin in 1965 and quit in 2011.
Oh, wow.
So he managed, surprisingly, he managed it pretty well until about 1997 maybe. So I was born in 1989, and around 1997, I think, my parents were doing heroin but had jobs and everything was cool, and also did some other activities that brought in, cash to the house. And I think in 1997, my mom...
So were they, obviously they were functional heroin addicts.
Yeah.
And when you say extra cash, were they dealing, selling? Prostitution? What was it? A little bit of everything?
No, I'll just say it. I've talked to this was a long time ago. It drug dealing.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, support the habit.
Yeah. My dad made a good living as a union carpenter, but he was kind of born in a neighborhood where he inherited connections and things like that. And on and off throughout his life, he probably made a lot more money doing illegal things than
right.
legal
Plus,
things.
drug use is huge with carpenters and construction workers.
Is it?
Well,
yeah, huge.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, the big pill poppers because of the pain.
Yep.
From their work that they do.
Oh, that makes
and
complete sense.
They're also big cokeheads. That they like to party hard.
Yeah.
How they get
any labor.
Yeah.
Usually there's meth or something going on.
Yeah, for sure, because they got to work long hours.
Yeah.
They're up 18 hours at a time, lack of sleep. How they get into the H is beyond me.
Yeah.
Because they take a hard right, they need that boost, and there you go. They follow the dragon.
Yeah. Well, okay. Well, I'll tell you. My dad grew up in Boston. He grew up in a neighborhood where people were getting drafted for the Vietnam War. It was kind of low income, and his friend's older brothers were coming back. And when he was 12 years old, he was running an errand for a veteran with no legs, and the veteran tipped him or paid him in a little hit of heroin.
Oh.
When he was 12.
Nice.
And he told me he was arrested for possession of narcotics when he was 12. He doesn't even know when he started doing it, but it doesn't even sound believable.
Right.
And 12 is very young.
I guess he was a mature 12-year-old.
Back in those days, 12 is it's an innocent kid. Now they're getting guns.
Yeah.
That's just the reality of life.
Yeah. So, yeah, they're functional. Things are crazy though. There's money. I find there's a box of money on top of my refrigerator with 20 grand in it. And from a young age, I'm told if someone comes into the house with a gun, you just point to the box. That was kind of like because there was a lot more money other places.
It's the hush money or the go away money.
The go away money.
Right.
So but you know what? He was the coach on my baseball, or not a coach, but he was like an assistant coach or something. They played a role in my life. But in 1997, cocaine was one of the drugs that was being sold, and someone showed my mom how to cook crack.
Nice.
When in their 40s, they started smoking crack, and
wow,
that's not really a drug that you can function on in any capacity.
No.
Especially when you have hundreds of thousands of dollars in cash, and you can just smoke crack all day.
That's it. Yeah.
So things quickly got to like.
And not to cut you off, but they say that once you smoke crack, the high is so amazing that they're chasing it they want that high, that euphoric, and they can't even explain what it's like, but they know that they want it and need it.
Yeah.
And that's where that addiction kicks in, because they're just following it and chasing it.
Well, I've smoked a lot of crack, so yep.
You know what they're talking about, exactly.
So when did your drug use start?
I was a decent kid. My aunt took me in Oakland. I did well in school. I started drinking maybe 14, 15. Things were all right, but I abused it. There was definitely signs.
Sure.
But I'd say I went to college, I went to UC Santa Cruz, and then when I was about 18 or 19, people started snorting Oxycontin. And I wouldn't go near heroin. Friends of mine were smoking heroin and stuff, but when the pills came around, I said, you know what, my mom overdosed on heroin and passed when I was 14, so that was a drug I wasn't going to touch.
You weren't going to touch, right?
Yeah.
So, but this Oxycontin, within a month, it was over. It was just,
wow, that's a long time.
Yeah.
Oxy usually gets you in 7 days.
Well, I could do a little piece and have fun on the weekend. To very quickly, it was like all my money. So, first I was swallowing them, then I was snorting them, and then I was smoking the pills. And then one day they were hard to get, and I was physically addicted. I got sick, and heroin was all over Santa Cruz, and I started smoking it probably 19. And
it's a fast progression then.
The opiates got me.
Yeah.
The
really got me.
opiates are the devil. What people don't understand about opiates, like say for example, if you smoke opium, you're addicted for life. Doesn't matter if you smoke it once a day, once a week, but you have to have a taste, especially if you smoke opium. Now with pills, it's just a longer lifespan, and then when you do a pill, then you do 2, then you do 3, then you do 4. Your body just starts craving it and you just want it.
Yeah. Well, you develop a physical addiction. That's, alcohol, you develop a physical addiction. Heroin, opiates, man, if you don't have it, you're throwing up, you're on the toilet, you can't sleep for a week, 2 weeks. You'll do bad things to get it.
Oh, for sure.
Of course.
You'll do bad things to get it. Crack doesn't have a physical addiction, but that's later on in my story, but crack, and it is I can't even look at a picture of someone with a crack pipe, right? Like if I just see a crack pipe, like
you get disgusted.
Yeah, and it was not my drug of choice, but something about it.
It's cheap.
It's not that I get disgusted; it's that I get that little. I feel the rush of
the
adrenaline.
craving?
The itch.
Oh.
You get the
I
itch.
already feel it. I got my stomach drops. Like I don't want to be graphic, but like things change in your body. When I just see. Yeah, and I'll go down to Skid Row and you can smell it. You can see people. I don't really do that anymore, because unless I have a reason to go down there. But So anyway, that's a whole different story. But so my drug use it progressed. I did 4 years at Santa Cruz and dropped out with like 16 credits left.
Oh,
I dropped out. I was
gosh.
already homeless. I was homeless on the streets of Santa Cruz and.
What was your major?
European history.
Oh wow!
Oh my gosh!
So
with only 16 more credits.
Well, I'm in school right. I'm actually getting them right now online.
Good for you.
Good. Yeah. That's amazing.
Yeah. So one thing leads to another. I'm 22. I'm homeless. I have an uncle in Culver City, and he says, "I'll give you one shot. I'll bust you down to Culver City. I'll get you into rehab. If you mess up, I'm never talking to you again." And long story short, I messed up, and I had nowhere to go, and I went to Skid Row at 22, and I had a good time. I lived down there for about 6 months. Lived in a tent. They give you everything. All the churches around LA every day. There's a new church coming up, giving you sleeping bags and tents.
So what do you mean? You just walk up to a church and say, "I want a tent today," and they just kick you down?
They come down with trucks and they hand out food and clothes and Bibles, but everyone just wants the stuff.
Right.
Of course.
I'm not like, it's wonderful that they do that, but it's like Mad Max down there, but you can eat. You're gonna eat every day. So, and there's drugs.
Every day.
Yeah.
Every day.
So
it's weird to hear Skid Row called a good time.
that was my first. I have 2 episodes in my life of Skid Row. That was my first one. I was 22. I was smoking heroin. I wasn't injecting it, which didn't really make a difference. But I had a decent little time. I was doing a lot of meth and running around and camping out, having fun. But I think when I was 20, I went all around the country trying to get clean. I couldn't do it. My dad's in Florida, so I was getting bussed down there and trying to go to sober livings and stay sober, and I just couldn't do it. But when I was about 26, I wound up back on Skid Row, and that run was not good because I started going to jail. And for some reason, once you go to jail once, you just start going to jail, because they run your name and they see, oh, he's been here before, so
just to ship him out again.
Yeah.
Wow.
But I went really, probably because of the way I'm a normal white looking guy. I look like a college kid. I got away a lot. I got privilege until I didn't, and because when they run my name, I don't look like a white guy anymore when they run my name.
You're a criminal.
Yeah. So, one day I found myself in the Panda Express, in the food court at the library downtown, and I was there because I was looking for food, and there was a plate with some orange chicken on it, and I had my eye on it. A woman it was hers, but she kind of got up, and I walked over, and I was on the phone. I had an Obama phone, and I don't even know who I was on the phone with, but I was on the phone. I went over, I started picking at the orange chicken, and all of a sudden I just got sucker punched in the face, and I dropped my phone. The guy grabbed it and he said, I called that plate, that's my plate. It was 2 homeless people fighting over orange chicken.
Wow.
Is what happened.
Wow.
And
you got punked.
Yeah. But this was happening because I'm like 125 pounds. I'm like, I'm wearing like kids' clothes. I'm tiny. Just emaciated. And this is happening. This has been a pattern. Like people are starting, like I'm getting robbed every once in a while. So I bought a knife the day before, and I had it in my pocket. And when you buy a knife, they don't give you like an instruction manual on like how to defend yourself.
Was it a switchblade? Was it an active blade?
Just an active one. So I took the knife out, and it was kind of like this awkward pause where he's like, "Are you gonna stab me over an Obama phone?" Sort of, and I didn't know, something went through my head, and I just tried to stab him, and he, I didn't make contact or anything, but something in my mind was like, well, he hit me first, so I can do whatever I can.
Yeah,
self-defense, fight or flight, sure.
So this was in the food court of the library, so there was a security presence. So immediately there was we were grabbed, and they had handcuffs. They actually handcuffed both of us until the police came, and I was not scared because I figured, okay, this guy punched me, I'm gonna get my phone back. But the police were concerned with my attempt to stab this man, and I guess different states are different, but in California, if someone assaults you with their hands, you cannot retaliate with a weapon.
Correct.
I did not know that. So they arrested me for assault with a deadly weapon. I have felonies, but that's a violent felony, and that's a felony I didn't want to get. So, and I mean, that's, you go to prison,
Sure.
So I'm going to jail. They take me. This isn't my first time in jail, but this is my first time where I'm doing like some time, so they take me into jail. I'm completely withdrawing from heroin. I'm throwing up. I'm sick.
Did you have to quit cold turkey there?
Yeah, they don't get, they just, yeah,
it's jail. They don't say, oh, you're a heroin addict. Comes like Betty Ford, we're going to give you some treatment.
Yeah.
It's fucking county.
Well, but when I was in the medical pod, there was a guy named Solo. He was a Mexican dude, and he was, a gang member, and he was a heroin addict too, and he had an abscess when he came in, and they were giving him Norcos.
Yeah.
And he actually he saw me and saw how sick I was. He gave me one of his Norcos one of the days. So, but I'd say on my 14th day, they housed me permanently. I went to a dorm. I went to 5300 in Men's Central Jail, and I was awaiting trial.
Yeah.
And I didn't look good. It was probably day 14, and I was still pretty dope sick. And I didn't really know what to expect. This was my first time I was being housed with. I mean, there's 100 people in this dorm, and you walk in and it's like madness. There's like people screaming. There's people playing cards. There's people screaming at the TV. There's people hanging out on their bunks. There's people playing, cards and everything. And
just like the movies.
yeah,
I was gonna say that doesn't. I've seen that.
It's like a live movie in reality.
yeah.
It's
And
gotta be a lot scarier though.
well, you hear all these stories about L.A. County Jail. It's like it's the most notorious jail in America. It's the most gang-driven jail probably.
Yeah.
It's gang and drug.
Yeah, there's a lot of drugs in there. You hear horror stories. So I was scared, I wasn't I was very weak. I was very skinny. They weighed me right after I went to the dorm, I weighed 131. So that was about 2 weeks after I got in there. So I assume I went in, 125 or something. And this big white guy named John with this big swastika tattoo came up to me, and it was like, what do you call it? He was like in high school when the senior walks around with the freshman and shows them everything.
Right.
He's like, you're with us. I'm assuming you're a white guy.
Yeah.
And I said, yeah, I'm a white guy. And he said, okay, well, let's go meet the rep, like the representative. He's like the leader of the whites in this dorm. And when you go and you have paperwork, they want to see what your crime was. They want to see, what your name is and stuff, and make sure you're not like a child molester or something. And they saw my paperwork. They saw my name.
You have a very Jewish last name.
Well,
and that didn't concern you walking around with the swastika guy?
Are we saying his last name?
I'll say my last name. Okay, my name's Jared Klickstein. Now, it's not
That's Jewish.
That's very Jewish.
That's Jewish. That's Jewish in L.A.
Yeah.
It is Jewish, but I'm lucky it's not like Goldstein or something. It's not like super
It's close.
obvious.
It's close. It's
Yeah.
close.
Well, I emphasized the Stein, not the Steen when I
I
talked
got
to
it.
because I
It
tried
went
to,
Stein. You went
Yeah.
very German.
Yeah.
well, I
Got
tried
it.
to make it sound like Kliegenstein or something. So he said, Klickstein, huh? And I mean, this guy, he probably didn't know a lot of Jews growing up. I think he was from Lancaster.
Yeah, there's not a lot of Jews out in Lancaster.
Yeah.
So was he American? Was he Aryan Nation? Was he
This guy
a Nazi lowrider? What was he?
the rep was the Peckerwood rep,
Right.
but the guy that was walking me around was he just said he was a neo-Nazi.
Okay.
He wasn't Nazi lowrider or anything, but Aryan Nation.
Aryan Brotherhood.
Yeah, and but there wasn't a large like Nazi presence in the dorm. There was more so like Peckerwood guys. So the Peckerwoods were running it, and a Peckerwood is it's like
Shot caller.
it's like a diet version of like a white gang. It's like
Right.
they're white, but they're not like they're not crazy. They don't want to like commit genocide or anything. It's just like a white boy. I didn't really know this. I thought it was like, you're white. We're white around here. We're the best. We're superior race. I thought it was all about that. So when he said Klickstein, I said, yeah. And he just looked at me and said, you German? And I was just like, yep, I'm German. Because I don't want to make stereotypes, but I don't look very Jewish. I'm half Jewish. My mother's Irish and my father's Jewish. And not only is my father's Jewish, but he's not like the Jewiest Jew of all time. He's a crackhead. He's a laboring crackhead, basically. So,
Right.
I guess I passed. I tried to act. I tried to just act like a white guy. So when we had our first little meeting in the shower, like the Peckerwood meeting or whatever, I was like really nervous. So I was like awkwardly racist. I was like, yeah, we're all alone now. Now we can like talk about the other races. And I was like, I'm not a racist guy, so I was like pretending to be a racist,
Like a very stereotypical movie ran through your head of what you should say. Got it.
Like yeah, brother. Like I'm proud. I'm proud to be white. I'm proud to be here. Like, and they were like, why don't you calm down, buddy? They're like, I don't know. They were like weirded out by it. So we had our little meeting about it's stupid jail shit, and I kind of wrote out this German thing, you know, for a couple weeks, and I think I was good to go. Like no one suspected anything, you know, and that's just how it went. And then there's this old guy named Lou who was like, you know, maybe 55. He was a cool guy. He would give me, you know, he would give me food and little snacks and stuff. I was.
Let's take a safe break and I'll restart.
Yeah.
Cool.
Awesome. Okay.
So you're talking about Lou?
Yeah, so there was this older guy, Lou, that was kind of like looking out for me because they don't give you enough food in there. I mean, that's just like the plain, that's the truth. You know, you get 3 meals a day, they're very small, but they sell food. Now, this is where, like, it gets super shady, basically.
Okay.
So they're not giving you enough calories, but they sell, you know, ramen soups for $1.20, which, I mean, if you're fortunate enough to not be familiar with ramen soups, they don't cost $1. They cost like 20 cents at the supermarket.
Right.
So they're selling all this food at a very, you know, they're making good money off of it.
It's off a vending machine, isn't it?
Well, they have a vending machine, but they also,
Right.
like, you fill out an order. I mean, it revolves around, Monday night was like when we got our commissary, and it was like everything revolved around Monday night. And I had no money. And the funny thing about jail is, like, there's all these, like, white guys that probably came from, like, decent families with money and stuff. But in jail, they have nothing. But the other, like the Mexicans and the blacks, I'm gonna go out on a limb and say, because of like institutional racism and stuff, it's more expected that you might wind up in jail. So it seems like their families were very gracious with putting money on their books and sending them food. But then you got these like white guys from Redondo Beach and stuff, and that got in there for a DUI, and they're like begging people for soups. So it's like this inverse world, you know, and. I didn't have anything, you know, no one was picking up the phone or anything when I was calling, so Lou was helping me out, but Lou got this special, Lou had a lot of money in there, because Lou got this boxed lunch that was different than everybody else, and I didn't get it, you know, some people got vegetarian meals, some people there was like Muslim meals and stuff, so one day I checked out this box and there was Hebrew on it, there was Hebrew lettering, so I assumed Lou was Jewish. And Lou was like respected by like the Nazi guys and stuff, and so I was like, man, like maybe I'm gonna talk to Lou about this. So I kind of hint at it, you know, I'm like, what kind of writing is that? And he said it was Hebrew. And I said, are you Jewish? He said, yeah. And I said, that's not a problem with any of these guys. And he said, well, he's like, I'm white, and that's all they really care about. There's not a lot of numbers in there, white guys. I mean, the white guys are the minority. So
Right.
He said something like, you know, they used to care when I used to come in here, but lately there's not. They just need numbers. And hey, I'm a white guy, so they're cool with me, I guess. And I said, oh. And he said, yeah, and I get this kosher meal, and I can sell it for, you know, $5 a meal. And I said, well, you know, Lou, I'm Jewish. And he said, well, you should have probably admitted that when you came in, you know, because you've been saying that you were German. And he said, you got to go tell the rep right now. I mean, this could be a really big deal. He's like, he kind of prepped me. He's like, listen, you're going to get hurt. They're going to take you back there. They're not cool with lying about things like this. You got to go talk to him. And get prepared. He's like, you know, get your blood going, because you're going to have to fight.
You're getting fucked up.
Yeah. So I go talk to my rep in private, you know, in the corner, and I tell him this. I say, listen, I've been lying, and before it gets out, I just want to say that I'm Jewish, you know. And
how does that feel, like admitting something after hiding things for so many years, but then definitely hiding things in jail? Like, how do you find the balls to go say this to somebody knowing you're going to get the shit kicked out of you?
I just knew that it was either get the shit kicked out of me and admit it, or have them find out and get stabbed. So I just picked the lesser of two evils. Now this is all in my head. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, because I'm thinking, like, why would you admit it? Like, they weren't asking you, they weren't pressing you on your last name. Why would you say, hey, you know what, I'm Jewish out of... I mean, or did you see the boxed lunch and you're thinking,
I want to get that lunch.
I want to get that lunch, so I'm going to be Jewish and I'm going to get that boxed lunch.
So if shit kicking was okay as long as you got better food.
That box was power.
Wow.
That box was the most powerful thing in that dorm.
Okay.
And I weighed the options for a few minutes. And also, a big thing in jail is if there's a lot of rules. You know, if you don't wash your hands after taking a piss, you're getting the shit kicked out of you. If you wear your shower shoes past if you don't wear your shower shoes in the shower, it's like game over. If you wear your shower shoes in a part of the dorm that's not the shower, it's over. If you share food with a black guy, it's over. If you sit on a black guy's bunk, it's over. There's all these rules, but a big rule is that if you see another white guy breaking a rule and you don't tell on him, and then you get caught, and it gets out that you saw him and you didn't say anything, you're getting a worse punishment than the guy that did the bad thing. So
snitching's encouraged.
It's like the weirdest inverse reality you ever heard of. Yeah. I mean, you get brownie points, you know.
Right.
It's all about brownie points.
So you go talk to your rep in the corner.
Yeah. And mind you, the rep is not a Nazi. He's a Peckerwood, but he's half Armenian. So it's like already he's got a weird last name too, but he's like half Irish, half Armenian. I didn't even know this until after we had a conversation, but he said, you know, you should have told me about this. You know, you shouldn't have lied about this. But as long as you get that kosher meal, we're all good. Just get that kosher meal. Because there's levels, you know, they test you. It's not like I'm Jewish, I get the kosher meal. It's like, I'm Jewish, now I have to take a test and prove that I'm Jewish. So...
Like DNA test or like a...
They like quiz you. This cop... So I'm not punished. And it's kind of quiet that I'm not punished because my rep has a real taste for the chicken meatballs that you get in one of the boxes. So he's like, as long as you just give me one of those chicken meatballs sometimes, we're all good. So I sign up for the test. And then word gets out that I'm Jewish. And like, no one, for some reason, no one cares. Like, the Nazi guy is super cool with me still. And he just says, listen, things are different nowadays. All we care about is we just don't want you to have sex with our sisters.
Huh.
That was
it's
his
a very
thing.
simple rule.
That's funny.
That was his thing.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm not trying to defend him. I mean, this guy was racist, but I don't know. He was cool with me, and that was his bottom line. He said that's really what it comes down to. So
So you take the test.
Well, I'm sitting on this bench. They take us up. It takes like a week or something for this officer to pull some people out from the dorms to take a test, and it's like me and it's like three black guys taking. There's the Muslim test and there's the Jewish test.
Got it.
And I'm sitting next to a black guy, and he's like, what do you come in here for? And I said, I'm taking the Jewish test. And he's like, I'm taking the Jewish test too.
The black guy's taking a Jewish test?
Yeah.
That's funny.
Amazing.
And I said, he's like, hey, what's Hanukkah? And I was like, they're going to ask you way crazier questions than that, I think. And I said, you should take the Muslim test because you might do better with that because it's believable. And he said, I already failed the Muslim test.
That's funny.
Yeah. So I just said, listen, man. And he's like about to call my name. I'm like, I can't like give you 6,000 years of history right now. Like, but good luck. You know Hanukkah's with the candles. That's all you got to know. Just I never saw that guy again. I'm going to assume he didn't pass the test because they gave me the test, and first they just ask you about you. What's your last name? Where did your parents come from? Where'd your grandparents come from? Just to like sniff out bullshit because a lot of people try to take this test. I had the name in my favor, and I was bar mitzvahed in the midst of all my parents smoking crack and stuff. I managed to get a bar mitzvah.
Well, that $20,000 on the refrigerator probably helped pay for the whole party.
Yeah, well, there was definitely some money for the party. But,
and then some.
Yeah.
And there were party favors after.
Exactly. So. No, my parents, well, they said they were sober at my bar mitzvah, but...
highly unlikely. Highly.
Because they had to fly in, so... Because I had already been taken away from them, but they knew they could get, they, you know, wherever they were, they could, I'm sure they figured out how to party. So anyway, you know, they ask you about all the holidays and obscure holidays, and honestly things I don't know because I'm not really, wasn't raised very Jewish. I mean, I was bar mitzvah to sort of satisfy my grandparents, and but I, you know, I knew just enough, you know. And then he said, why do you want the kosher meal? Because whether you're Jewish or not, are you kosher? You know, because a lot of Jews aren't kosher.
Right.
And I told them, listen, my life's been terrible with drugs the past 5 years or whatever, and I think I'm finding my religion here. You know, I want to be kosher. And he just, you know, he knows it's all bullshit, but he, you know, I passed enough of the questions, so I get the kosher meal. And everything changes after that. You know, you're not hungry. You can buy, you know, you can buy candy. You could buy drugs if you want. I mean, when I say drugs, drugs are really expensive in there. I didn't buy any drugs, but I probably could have with the amount of pull I started getting with these box meals. Because one soup will buy you 3 lunches, and one box meal will get you 5 soups. So
wow.
It's like one soup is worth like 15 meals or something, you know.
Wow.
So things start, you know, getting pretty cool. I'm not dope sick anymore. I'm starting to make some money, and you got to go see the rabbi though, you know, because it's not just about the box. You know, you got to go pretend to be Jewish.
You're right.
So I got to go see the rabbi, and he's cool, you know. And he gives me like a little yarmulke, if you guys know what a yarmulke is. It's like a little Jewish hat.
Yeah.
So I come back, you know, they're like waiting it's like everyone's waiting to see how like my field trip was with the rabbi, and then I come back with my little booklet of Hebrew or whatever, and my yarmulke, and they're like amazed by this yarmulke. They think it like has power. You know, that, mind you, like if you're a racist and you hate Jews, a lot of the people think the Jews control the world, and
right.
Yeah, I don't think that's true. I'm Jewish, and I'm not part of that if it's real. I mean, it's not real. It can't be real. But I could, you know, I get it. Jews seem to find themselves in places of power and stuff, and you know,
and money.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have money.
A lot of money.
So, although these Nazis don't like Jews, they are mesmerized by it a little bit, and
well, it's almost like a myth that you've hated for so long.
Yeah.
Sure.
So they're like, what kind of power does this yarmulke have? Out of respect, almost. They're not even being disrespectful. And then the Mexican shot caller is like super into the Bible. And when he found out I was Jewish, he like thought, because I mean, I've read the Bible. A lot of it's the Old Testament. You
Yes.
know? So there's a lot of Jews in the Bible. So he's like super interested in me, and we become kind of close. Because and I don't know anything, but they're like asking me questions about, you know, Jacob and his coat and all that, and I mean, I'm just kind of, I remember a little bit of it, but, and then it gets to the point where people are like asking me about their case, because they want me to like help them with legal things, and I just kind of have to play the role, you know, and
So they thought you were Jewish, you were an attorney?
Yeah, they thought, and
no stereotypes.
Yeah.
None whatsoever.
But I'm like embracing it because I'm getting like positive attention. I mean, I came in there like just smoking crack and shooting heroin and living in a box, but they think like I have
to giving legal advice.
Yeah.
Nice.
So, but the yarmulke is this like source of power, and there's a lot of gambling going on in jail. People are playing poker and all that. And the Mexican shot caller asks very nicely if he could wear my yarmulke when he gambles. Not as a joke. He's like, it might bring good luck or something. And out of respect, you know. And he was really cool, and he was like really smart. This guy like knew a lot about. I mean, he'd been to prison a bunch of times. He'd read every book you could think of, and
You ain't that smart.
Well.
If he's back in prison a bunch of times.
Well, he seemed. I asked him. I was like, "You seem like such a smart guy. Like, what?" And he's like, "Well, I get out there and I do meth, and next thing you know, I'm in jail." So that's another thing. You got 99% of the people in there are on drugs. I mean, they're in there because of drugs. They're not. If they're stealing cars, it's to get drugs. I mean, I don't think I met anybody that wasn't either drunk or on drugs when they got arrested. Like. and it just that place is packed. I mean, there was 100 people in my dorm, and they were getting ready to weld on third-story bunks to all the beds, so there was about to be 150 people in that dorm.
Wow.
I mean, they are just
Sardines.
packing them in, and that's another story. But
they're tearing it down.
the Penn Central Jail.
They are
Twin Towers?
Yeah, on February 13th, they announced that they're going to tear it down and build a men's mental health facility for those with substance abuse.
Well, that's great.
Yeah.
That's great news. It's an old building. The Men's Central Jail, I mean, it's pretty dilapidated. I'm not going to complain, though. Like, jail saved my life. I mean, I was going to die any minute when I was on Skid Row, and jail,
I've known a lot of people that they say, I gotta get clean, go to jail.
Yeah, go to jail.
Yeah, I gotta get clean.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's time for me to get clean. Go to
When
jail.
did you get out?
I got out. This was like 3 years ago. I got out in like spring. I went in like winter, and I got out like spring. I spent Christmas, New Year's, Valentine's Day, my birthday, I spent some good time in there.
Yeah.
So you were in what, for about a year?
No, I was in there for about like 5 months or something, and I was fighting this case. I forgot to mention that. So I'm prepared to go to prison because they're trying to give me a strike, and I'm saying I don't want. They're like, you can take a strike and just go, and I'm like, I'm not taking a strike, and they're like, well, then you're facing 18 months in prison, and I was like, all right, I had nowhere to go. If they let me go, what am I going to do? Go back to Skid Row? Like,
right.
I was like, all right, I'll go to prison. Everyone wants to go to prison when they're in jail because prison, you get to go outside. There's more space. Ramen soups are a little cheaper. Like, everyone's trying to get there because jail's a nightmare. So I'm prepared. I'm getting prepared. I'm like working out. I'm gaining weight. I'm like learning how to. Like, people get punished in jail every day. It never happened to me. I just followed the rules and got along, and having that kosher meal did not hurt. Because the rep is the ultimate person that decides, are you going to be punished? And I definitely got away with some stuff. Not like huge stuff, but you make mistakes, you wake up in the middle of the night and you use the bathroom, you don't wash your hands or something, like things happen.
Right.
So
you're waiting to fight your case, and then
they eventually, Panda Express is like not communicating with they want the videotape from Panda Express, and Panda Express is not sending the videotape. The whole case is ridiculous. Everyone kind of knows it from the start. The cop that arrested me said, "This is stupid, but like, I just gotta arrest you, but you'll be fine. They'll drop the case immediately." Everyone is telling me how stupid it is. So, and I guess Panda Express agreed because they just have better things to do than send the videotape of, from two homeless guys fighting over orange chicken. So months go by, and eventually they drop the case. But I was on probation, so they gave me a 6-month violation. Time served. I'd already served that time.
Yeah.
Right.
And they let me go.
Wow.
So that was, I think it was like 2016, mid 2016. They let me go.